Hello everyone. So you've heard of the slogan or the phrase, you got to be in it to win it, right? Okay, and that makes a lot of sense. We've got to be in it. If we want to win the lottery, we must buy a ticket or we need to obtain a ticket somehow. Okay, I'm not going to say you must buy it because somebody might buy it for you. All right, you might find a ticket on the floor. You might go looking for tickets in the rubbish bin. I don't know, or actually, play online. Maybe you got a free go. All right, yeah, we got to be in it to win it. If we want to go and get a job, right? If we want to, we need to research job lists. We need to go out and maybe market ourselves. We have to explore all our options. So we need to take action. It's important, again, to be proactive. I talk about this a lot. It's all very well sitting there wishing and dreaming because, suddenly all the planets are in the right place and it's like, yeah, I believe in miracles. Yeah, great. But sometimes we have to kind of just like open the door to the miracle. So imagine there's all these doors. They've all got like, oh, miracle one, miracle two. And we just sit outside and go, okay, but I found the miracles. I've been looking. I believe it. I can see it now. It's written on the door. Why aren't you opening it? Okay. So it's just as easy as that, opening it, right? So first of all, we get up and we put our hand on the handle and then, oh my God, it's still locked. Which takes me to the next phase. Yes, we've got to be in it to win it, but we need to go in it with our whole heart, right? Because the keys to that door are in your heart. The reason you may be looking at going to 100 job interviews and none of them actually pay off and you never get anything back is because it's not really what you want. All right? Maybe your heart isn't it. Maybe it's not your passion. And maybe the universe is saying, hey, you can do this job standing in your head. That's why, yeah, you're walking away going, I don't get it. I was the best applicant. I did the best application. I was in it. Sara told me to get on with it. I've done it. I've really used all my skills. I've used, my mindset. I've been meditating on it. I've done it, I've gone out and I've done all the things I can do. I've even chosen things that are easy for me, right? But did you love the job? Or did you love the money part of the job? Did you love the security that job was going to bring? Were you considering the job when you looked at it and thought, oh, this would be good because I can have 3 holidays a year with this job. I can do overtime so I could work myself into the ground. That would be great. And because I could have, oh my God, I could join the golf club now, and be part of the winning team kind of thing. This is exactly what Sara said. She said, go out there, these are all my skill sets. I could do this standing on my head, right? I've done this before. This is something I know. Okay, great. But why did you leave when it was in the past, why did you leave that job? Have you considered that? Was that because you were bored of it? Are you telling yourself now, it'll be different this time, it'll be different this time? Because this is a new place, right? This is another load of set of people. This is a different circumstance, different time. Yeah, but it's the same job. This is the same job that gave you loads of money, which made you unhappy, right? So that's the reason why that door isn't opening, right? And Spirit is saying, look, the way to open these opportunities is, or to really absorb and get these miracles is to actually be choosing the one, right? Choosing the door that is really drawing you to it, you're really passionate for it, you're really hungry about it. This might be the biggest door and the ugliest door from the outside, the one that doesn't really spell lots of cash. And actually, it looks like a rusty handle. It looks like this could be really tough. This could be a challenge. This could actually be, a long, long journey. And remember, when you want some, a lot of people that are without, are always struggling for cash. Or, one thing is because they're just daydreaming and wishing. And also, they're just focusing on the cash. They're just thinking about it and they're not, they want it easy. They want to jump 20 steps. And I'm not saying that isn't possible because these doors of miracles could help you do that. But it has to come from the heart. So it's not just about being in it to win it, finding all these doors. It's about really going for the one that could actually be in your mind, or to everyone else's minds, the longest journey to take, the toughest mountain to climb. But your heart is so in it, you're loving it so much that actually you run up that mountain. You fly over all the hurdles. You get immersed in it. It's an adventure. It's exciting. It brings so much fear to you because it's the unknown. But it's the one. And when you feel that and you're in it, and I mean you are in it, what they mean by being in it to win it is your whole self. Do you remember the song, the Okey, Kokey? Your whole self in, your whole self out, in, out, shake it all about. Yeah? Do the hokey cokey and you turn around, you turn it around. That's what it's all about. Yeah. Okay? When you're all in, your whole self in, your whole self out, you're in, out. You can dip in and out. You have control of this. You have the choice to do that. You can throw everything in the ring if you want. And by that, I don't mean all your belongings. I'm talking about your whole self. Commit your whole self to something. Let go of everything else but what you really want. And I don't mean restrict yourself and saying, I'm not doing this until it's that job. Be open to what that is. If you don't know what you love, then start doing something you love. Start doing something you enjoy. Start going out and just laughing. Have some time with friends and actually enjoy it. Be in it. So many of us are rushing forwards. We're already out the other side. I have people I know who, and I'm sure you know people as well, and they turn up and they talk to you about their agenda. I'm going to be doing this. Next week I'm doing that. Next week. And you're just lost in it because all they've got is this agenda because they're trying to remember the agenda, right? And it's like one day at a time, I'll get this out of the way. And what you're doing is rushing it all because you're trying to get to the end of this list. But this list just gets longer and longer and longer because you're just adding more and more. You're not really sitting and considering what it is you want. You're striving so hard to get the next bit of money and the next bit of cash to get to that next, to pay that next bill. Well, really, you just need to be doing something you enjoy. If you're really going through a negative 5 minutes, right? And we all have wobbles and we all, things trigger us. First of all, just stop and breathe and just try and connect with the emotion and calm yourself and ask yourself, what is this? Where's this trigger? Okay. Now I need to ground myself, but at the same time I'm worrying so much that meditation is really tough. So what can I do that just kind of allows me to relax? It might even just be washing up. It might be cooking. It might be sitting painting. It might be just going for a walk. A walk's really good to just to breathe some air. Get away from the situation a little bit. Get away from that thought. But do something proactive away from the thought because you need to kind of do that to move the energy about. Because what's happening when you're in that and you're stuck and you're holding yourself back and restricting yourself, you're kind of just not doing anything. You're not making it any better. You're just allowing yourself to be there still. So throw your whole self, start practicing throwing your whole self into something that you enjoy, even if it's an hour a day, even if you're stuck in a really awful job right now and there is little way that you can just walk away because at the end of the day, you've got 20 mouths to feed. And I get that. I get that there is some instances that would actually be foolish as well, but it doesn't mean that you can't make time to be creating something else. Just because you're doing, or to go to your boss and say, look, I've got, as much as I know you need this work. My contract says 9 till 5 and you keep asking me to stay on. And I'm only doing this because I'm kind of thinking if I've got this, I can pay for a holiday, right? So you stay on, you do the overtime and you've been doing that. But at the same time, you're missing out on your family. You just come in, you go to bed, you get up. Finally, you have enough money for this holiday and you spend the whole time sleeping. So you don't even enjoy it. You're not even getting to enjoy life. So consider what can you take out that you're not really, it's not really helping that much. And think you could actually enjoy the rest of a holiday at home with your family. It could be just as good. It doesn't have to be that expensive one in the Maldives right this year. That can come and still have that wish. But consider, well, if you're I'm not saying people think too big, because I don't think that, I think everyone should be thinking big. But don't kind of go, well, it's over there. That's it over there, the big holiday at the Maldives, and I've got to wait 6 years for that. Well, why can you not have something similar now? Start the energy going so that you get closer to the Maldives. And if that, if you think that working in that job 24/7, overtime, being miserable is going to attract that, well, then you are wrong. If you start doing something you love and you are so in it, you attract so much more light. Your vibration gets bigger. Imagine your aura getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the aura is what makes the dream closer. That dream may have seemed far away, but the bigger your vibration gets, the closer it's getting, because you're touching it. You can feel it, you can taste it. So when your heart is completely happy and fulfilled, you are going to experience the miracles, because there's less worry, there's nothing stressing you out. You're just happy like a child. Consider yourself being gurgling. When a child goes, yay, and just laughs, and you hear a child laugh, that's what you want to be hearing inside you, that little laughter, that little gurgle of excitement. The heart is the source of everything. The heart keeps the body flowing. It keeps the energy moving in all areas, okay? It connects the blood flow. Everything moves together. Imagine your heart is your bank. It is the place where you create money. But if that heart is not working, then there isn't anything to be made. It's not functioning. It's like an old hard drive that needs to be defragmented because there's too many files, there's not enough memory. And I mention memory because sometimes it's about going back to what were your memories? What were those wonderful memories that you've had? Some good ones. That can lift your bring the light in, can lift your spirits, can make your heart fuller. Good memories. What did you want to do? Look back to when you were a child. What were your dreams? What do you love doing? I mean, I talk to people like this all the time, and people look at me and go, I don't know. I don't know what I want to do. I don't know which direction to take. And I say, okay, what do you enjoy doing? Write a list of 3 things you like to do, right? Maybe write a list of 3 jobs that you've done in your life that you really enjoyed, but what was it about those jobs that you liked? Take away the skills, I liked it because, I could do it easily. Well, I mean, that could be a reason, or, I liked it because it gave me lots of money. They're not really the aspects I'm looking at. What was it about the job? So say you worked as a cleaner in a hotel. Maybe it was the fact you loved it is because you could go into all the rooms on your own and nobody was watching your back, right? And it kind of gave you a sense of responsibility. You had your own little rooms you did. You could take as long as you like. There was something about going into, creating a story. It gave you opened up your imagination, inspired you, because you go round the rooms cleaning up and seeing what was left, and you kind of imagine what their lives were like, or maybe you're like looking at things around, you're thinking, oh, I wonder who lives here, it's kind of like that, and you just laugh. It makes you laugh, and then you love the tea breaks that you had with the people because it was a really good group of people and that made your life better. So this isn't maybe the highest paying job. It's quite physical, but actually quite like that as well, because that energised you and it felt like you were doing some exercise and it's not as boring as the gym. Okay? And the cleaning part of it was kind of cleansing as well. And you just loved the fact it was a job well done and it was all down to you and you were responsible. So these are the aspects. Maybe you just loved the fact, you just love hotel life. You loved interacting with people. Maybe you worked on the receptionist and you just love talking to people and meeting new people. So that's an aspect. So it doesn't have to be in a hotel. You can meet people. It could be knocking on doors and selling. It could be the fact that you're really good communication. You've got some great communication skills and you just like people, So that's where you start. And then things that you like doing, your list of things you enjoy, it could be walking, it could be swimming, it could, well, I'm saying all active things. Maybe it's films. You love films. That's something. You love, maybe reviewing films. Maybe you like to write as well. So maybe you could start a blog on films. There's so many. Start thinking outside the box. Start considering what your heart wants. What jobs have you done in the past that really made your heart happy? You just really loved. I had a job in Blockbusters, right, years ago. I was at college, and I needed to pay to go to college, and this wasn't a job that I would necessarily chosen. I just wanted to do a job, obviously to pay my way at the time, and it was a necessity. But I loved the job. I don't even know what I was paid. I don't think it was even a great amount. It was just, basic pay. I loved the job because I loved films. I loved to reorder the shelves, put things in alphabetical order. There was a creative side of it, of design. Now, I'm an artist, so I love to kind of set up, and have ideas and talk to the manager about, maybe you could set up, an area for this type of film. Or I loved the smell of the place. I don't know what that was about, but I liked the action. The fact people were coming there because they were having time off, so everyone was happy. There was never somebody miserable in there, really, because it's like a Friday night film night and they were getting their popcorn and everything. I loved that thing. The job was relatively easy, but I loved the fact it was a bit like a library, I suppose. And I'll never forget that job. And when everyone says, what job did you enjoy? That's always the first thing. Although I've done lots of jobs that I've enjoyed for a bit, I kind of stayed there until I had to go because of, I moved on, I went away and stuff like that. And I was quite happy to do it. And there were some lovely people there as well. Not necessarily people I would hang out with normally that were in my profession, but they were really nice, fun people. So consider that. We're not asking you to go back to Blockbusters. Most of them are shut anyway. But, maybe you loved working in a supermarket. I quite liked working in the bowling alley at one point because it was always changing. 1 minute you could be bowling, the next minute you could be behind the bar, then you could be in the food bit, or you could be in the quasar area, and they were all different. So every time you went, you got a different experience. It was changing things up. And I realised I like to change things up. I like things that are creative. I like things that don't get too mundane. They always offer something different. That's why I love a Saturday night down at the bar where I live. Because every time I go, it's different. So there's always a different thing that plays out, a different story. It's never the same people, or it can be the same people, but they're in like a different space. And it's just really fun to observe. But then I don't want to go every Saturday because that would be boring. So I kind of change it up. Changing things up is really important. So, sometimes it's about changing the way you feel about things, changing away what your structure was, your conditioning from the start, what you when you grew up between 5 and 10, you had the aim and your heart was to be a policeman, right? Or I don't know, or a great singer. Let's say something like an actress or singer or dancer, right? But maybe you didn't really cut it. You didn't really have what it takes. And your family was saying, look, get your exams, go and get a good job. And they were kind of putting hints in front of it. Maybe your dad's a lawyer, your mum's a doctor or something like that. And they're saying, look, these are good jobs. You can get a new house. You can have, you could be able to look after your kids when they're born and your wife or husband or whatever. You can really support yourself if you're on your own. You could do lots and lots of things. Get that sorted first. So what you do is you follow that advice and condition. You look at them, you think, well, look, they're happy. Really, behind closed doors, they're really unhappy. They're miserable. They never see each other. They're working all hours God's son sends. Their jobs are highly successful, but all they care about is that you have everything. That's what's driven them. They've driven to carry on with their jobs. To start with, it was passionate. Now it's become a means to an end. That they're striving. They don't want you to be unhappy, right? But they're doing is actually kind of causing you unhappiness because they're just kind of sharing that over and just passing the buck. But they're so worried, but they've always been so worried about security, and that's what's been drummed into them from their parents, and it's just this kind of ongoing thing, right? So they're putting all this stuff onto you, and they keep projecting all this stuff about material things are really, really important, get a good job. And like I say, they're not even happy. They don't even talk anymore. They don't even communicate. They're just shoving it all onto you because they don't want to look at themselves, because that would be admitting that they were failures. Well, admitting you're a failure or you're fed up is not being a failure. Admitting something is actually success, because you're actually seeing it. And they don't want to look at their lives, because if they do, that could be too painful, and then they'll see the failures in their own eyes. So they put it all onto you, right? So then you take all this knowledge and all these little dreams of singing and that, and they keep squashing it, and they don't really care. They, you go off to university to do really well because you got it in the genes, right? You got the lawyer genes, the doctor genes. You're wearing all these genes, the perfect genes, the perfect fit. Everything fits. You excel in your exams. Off you go to work, and you just do the same thing. All right. And then suddenly, right, all the planets collide, right? And they're saying, right, it's time for your mission in life. We're in this new vibration now. We need to start getting you doing something you love. And you go to the doctors, and they say, look, if you keep doing this, you're going to, you can have a heart attack. You can't keep working like this. But you're like, oh yeah, but I can't give up my job because I've got a big mortgage and I've got kids to feed and everything like that. I'll look for another job that's less stressful, right? And then all of a sudden you lose your job because you're not doing it really effectively, and the universe can see that, and they're going, you're really not committing to this. You're still carrying on. You're still falling back into it because, the money keeps taking over. Oh, I've got to get the money, right? So then you lose your job, right? There's a big fire at the hospital, boom, done. You've got nothing left, and you're on your own. You're going, oh my God, I'm in debt. What am I going to do? Okay. So you go, okay, it's all right. I'm going to look for a job. I've got the skills. I've got the know-how. So you look at all these top jobs, right? Because you think, you're at the top of your game. You're the head honcho, so it's going to be easy, right? No, because everyone's working from home now, right? So all the jobs are going. So you go into the supermarket, there's machines now working for people. There's less work, right? All the good jobs everyone's jumping into, but they want more. They want the money. They want things. But also you're getting older. They don't want the older ones. They want the new blood. So you're like, oh my God. And everywhere you go, you think, right, well, there's okay, first of all, you see 50 jobs, great. You apply for them all, nothing comes back. You do 20 interviews. You're getting picked to the post every single time. So we come back to this heart. And the reason is because you're not doing what you love. Because really what you loved was singing or dancing. And because you've got the skills, right, you may not have the ability to be the next Hollywood icon, right? This may not be something that you really necessarily need right now. The goals change slightly because you're older now, and you can kind of see that doesn't bring all its perks. But you lost a lot of confidence as well. But you do have all these other skills. You've got mathematics. You've got, you're really clever. And you can play the piano, and you could do this. Maybe you could teach. Maybe you could start up, maybe that's it. You've got kids now. You can nurture. But everything's changed because you're older. So you're seeing it from different viewpoints. But the dream and the happiness, maybe the music gave you. And it was all about the music. That was the aspect of it. It was music gave you, and you never have time to listen to music anymore because you're doing your job, and then you come home and you've got to go sleep, and you've got to feed the kids, and you've got to keep going. So you suddenly realise, something comes in, and there's something keeps flicking up on the internet. It's like one of them pop-ups, and you keep pushing it down. It's like, become a musical success or something, even in your twilight years or something. And, it doesn't cost anything. Or it costs a really small amount to do it. All it takes is a bit of effort. But because you're clever and because you've got the skill set, you could do it really quickly. In fact, you probably know it all. You've got a qualification already to get that job. Or, maybe it is about being a music teacher. What I'm saying is, if you have the passion, if you can see what your passion is and what you love, if you're being knocked away all the time and you are being, you're working yourself into the ground, like your heart self loses its energy, it loses its vibrancy. And, you'll find suddenly you trust, you're all in, and you say, well, this is all I've got now. And suddenly it all starts working. I was in a situation many years ago, and I started off as a performer. I did, pretty well in that. Then I went got into therapies and healing. And there was a point, everything was great. I could do anything, honestly. I could just get a job like that, really. I mean, I could put my hand to anything. So if I needed some extra cash or I needed to work, I would just go and waitress or do whatever it took to keep me afloat and then keep focusing on the things I liked, right? When you're a performer, that's kind of what you do because you need time to go to auditions. You have to find something that suits, right? But really, you're all into the other thing, right? So all you're thinking about is just a means to an end. You just need enough to keep you going, right? For now, because you're going to make more later, but you know. So anyway, I got to this point in my life where everything changed and it was all just taken away from me. Every job that I went for wasn't happening. I mean, really, to the last point, I'd get up to go to the new job and then I'd get a call saying the job isn't available because I was going down the wrong path, right? And so, luckily, I had a roof over my head. I had a small little room, box room with just my books and everything I just needed. Really just the necessities. I had very little financially. And there was one job that kept coming up that was available, but it was only 2 days a week. And I was thinking, how is that going to be any good, right? But it was like, that was all that was on hand in the end. It was like, that's the only door we're giving you, right? We're going to get you down there. And in the meantime, I was designing on a computer and I started, you know, I was coming up with ideas. My healing side opened up that creativity. And I was kind of heartbroken as well because I'd lost somebody that I loved as well. And I just felt really lost and really restricted. Well, this turned out to be a massive, massive blessing for me. I carried on, you know, I suddenly put myself out there and I loved designing. I was making cards at the time and I knew I could make cards. However, obviously, sometimes it's the cost, isn't it? That, you know, we needed the materials. So I needed to go to this other job, which was only 2 days a week, to pay my rent and to buy extra materials. But all the rest of the time, I just focused on this work. And I went into Covent Garden and I had all these designs printed out on just very, very simply. And I walked into one of the shops and I said, look, I make cards, design cards, would you take some? And I sold £150 worth right there and then. And this is quite a long time ago, so it's probably about £500 worth now, right? So I got back and it was great. I was so excited. And then I just looked and thought, how am I going to make these cards? Because these places don't pay on the dot, you know, you get payment on when you give the product. So I started... so I went back and I was crying to my friend saying... She said, why are you so upset? And I said, because I actually haven't got the money to go buy the mounts to make these cards or, you know, to the paper to print them out. And she said, how much she needed. I think it was £30 or something. And so she put that in my hand and off I went. And that's where I kind of spiraled. And then my life started to really open up because that pushed me to send out, because we had emails then as well, so I could send out designs via email, so that was free. And I was really loving, all I did all day was design and write, and all my sadness went into a new deck of tarot cards, which were pretty horrific, but at least it helped me heal, you know, which now I find when I'm painting, especially when I just recently lost my dog, I did a portrait which helped me put all my emotions into it. So my heart was healing. So I was doing everything for my heart self. And then while I was at this job, which I really didn't like, but was just literally paying the rent for 2 days a week, because that's all it was, that's where I met the love of my life. Because he kept coming in and it was like, and he kept tipping me, right? Every time he got a drink, he'd throw some money over the bar and that paid my rent. And while I was behind the bar, I was testing out theories with tarot, asking people's questions, started doing readings there. All of these things started opening up because I followed my passion at the time, made my heart happy by writing, designing. My creativity opened up. And then later it led me to a backer. I created my game. You know, my cubes, all of this, all came from this point. So what I'm saying is it doesn't matter how sad you are, however much you've lost, if every door is shutting, then look what makes you happy, because there is support that will come. Because you are doing that and because you are committing to yourself and you're just doing, you know, as long as the money side of it only has to be, at this point, the focus is that can keep you afloat. Consider what will keep you afloat and will pay the bills. But give you time to explore those other options. All right? Because when you explore those other options, when you put your passion and time and energy into it, you will create more options, more money, and then your life will no, well, not because you've got more money, but you will just keep generating the love. You're generating. The more money that will come in. Remember, where focus goes, energy flows. If you focus on a job that's making you unhappy, if you focus on something that isn't your heart self, then you will just create more energy into that. If something is wasting your time, you will waste more energy. If you focus on your heart will flow and function beautifully to all the organs. Everything will feel balanced. You'll feel healthy. You'll feel light. You'll feel energized because you're pumping energy into your own heart and not into other people. Consider when you're wasting your energy and when you're feeling tired, when you start having more energy bills come through. Things start going up in your life. It becomes more difficult to pay them. It's because you're giving out to the wrong things. Start looking at your heart as the center of your resources, your bank, your credit, right? The thing that creates the credit, ups your credit rating, up your heart rate, as in the love for your heart. Give it the energy it needs, the love and commitment, and it will serve you. And suddenly, where you have been in the red, you will suddenly be back in the black, okay? So I hope this has helped you. Please feel free to download the Love Yourself Wealthy book. This is all linked to it. This is all training towards that to help you create a much happier, wealthier life. And if you'd like a private reading, do go to my website. Everything is in the description bar below. Please feel free to comment and email. Love to hear from you, sending you lots and lots of blessings, abundance and fulfillment.